Alright, it is Satan's Son, issue 9 by Len Kaminski. I have reviewed this before, 5 years ago. I had this issue, and it was this issue and it being half decent, which led me on this little adventure of getting the rest of this story arc and Len Kaminski's 4 issues on the series. I am going to try and not repeat things I maybe said 5 years ago, which means I absolutely will repeat things I said 5 years ago. We start out with Satan's Son and his demon steeds. It has been a long time since we last saw them. Nice to add on, there's another thing. His demon steeds go back to his first appearance. They are on the cover to the first issue of his first solo series. They last appeared in Defenders. They have names, but those names tend to change depending on the writer. And I bring up the demon steeds because this page not only calls them Satan's Son for maybe the first time in this horrible 90 series, but we're also seeing it bring back his demon steeds. The rest of the run, everything not by Len Kaminski on this title, it is hiding away any connection to the colourful or comic booky elements that Satan's Son's comic or character had previously exhibited. They want to remake him as an edgy, misanthropic, immoral anti-hero, and things like a costume or L horses are too unserious for them. I really wasn't expecting to talk so much about his bloody horses. Satan's Son is going to hell. He has taken 3 wayward, condemned souls, and he is trying to get them to an audience with God to plead their case. It's a good, epic story. And then we have the epic Dragon Strike advert. These are across several pages and always not in the centre, so you cannot even remove them. We have a nice little character scene with Etiquette the Daimon. This page and a few of the others, the subplot pages in this issue, they are drawn by Mark Beaver. On this one, it's actually kind of cool to see Mark Beaver draw this character again. Mark Beaver did the art for Etrigan's mini-series in the 80s, written by Jim Tomatas, the character's co-creator. I might look at that one day. I want to look at that one day. Mark Beaver was an artist, is an artist. I think he's still alive at the time of recording. You can never be sure though with comics. His art didn't always work. The thing that always stuck out in my head was when he drew an Excellent Men story and his art was scandalously incomprehensible. But he's an artist that just needs to be applied appropriately to the right characters or the right titles. There is a giant mountain that links hell to heaven, and Satan's Son and his chargers intend to climb it to reach heaven, but they are attacked by the legions of hell, evil demons, which Satan's Son fights off. And then we have more Mark Beaver, less flattering work here, but nobody put in good work when it involved the cat in this series. And then she is drooling again. Mop up in aisle 3. More like aisle 666. What happens is Satan's son is overwhelmed, and throughout his fight, his dark half, his dark soul, is trying to convince him to let it out of its bottle. And then, well, Satan's son, he does that. And I bet I fucking said this in the other video. He has started singing a Taylor Swift song. Certainly some people's idea of hell. Not mine, because Taylor Swift is a very talented songstress. This issue, its cover as well, actually debuts, and I think this and next issue are the only time it's been that way. We see an actual physical transformation in Satan's son, or rather an extreme one, when his dark soul takes over. I thought I would explain the dark soul in this one because it's one of those concepts that I kind of ignore in my videos. When originally introduced by Gary Ghostdriver and Herb Trimpfeld, it was a very different character. It was Jekyll and Hyde. There was Mark, and then there was Satan's son. Mark was the good half. He was active during the day, but then Satan's son took over at night. And Satan's son was the evil half. I hated that setup, really. It was unoriginal and rubbish. It was only the case for his first 4 or 5 appearances. Steve Gerbil took over, and in his second issue, he rewrote it. He made it so that they were one thing. The day and night idea was gone. What was the Satan Son side in the first configuration became the darker aspects that Mark, Satan's son, didn't want to and feared tapping into. This is his dark soul. I don't care for the dark soul as a concept. I think it's a bit like the speed force in the Flask. It is given a quantifiable presence to, and envisioning something as a literal thing, when it's something that should have remained abstract. The idea is that we have the son of Satan, and he's trying to do good. He doesn't want to give in to his satanic heritage. When you say he has an actual thing inside of him called the dark soul, that is all that evil given form and presence, it's not a story about good versus evil. It's a story about Satan's son versus an actual seed inside of him. The monstrous transformation, this has never been seen before. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's only in this story, and this is a decent story, so I don't know how I'd feel about this in a worse story. With his dark powers, he is able to easily slaughter all of his assailants. And the sad twist is that, having denied the dark soul for so long, now that he's let it loose, Mark Satan's son's humanity is progressively buried underneath it, and Satan's son appears to like letting this part of him out. The dark soul was, I think, given its name, maybe, in Defenders, Jim Tomata's Defenders. Eventually, in the Sanctuary story, the dark soul was featured, and Satan's son was freed from it. The villain, Mr. Miracle, the hard Fantastic Force enemy, Mr. Miracle, he stole the dark soul essence for himself. He received Satan's son's powers, and then in the end, the dark soul was transferred to a snake, the original sinner. Get it? Do you get the symbolism? At the start of this shit series, Satan forced the Dark Soul back into Satan's son, and this time his wife, the cat, saw Satan's son's true form, what he really is, what he represses, and it drove her insane. Fucking horrors book, this. But before it, the Dark Soul actually features a lot in Terror Inc. The Snake and the Monastery, they are in it, but I haven't read them yet. I wonder what else was on sale back then. I wouldn't have done this last time I reviewed this issue. I actually have quite a lot here. Avengers Terminatrix Factor 4 of 4. Bad Marky Mark G comic. I have that. New Warriors 42. That is the Black Star story arc, the final part of that one. Silver Surfman 87. Blood and Thunder. Don't let the Ron Lee cover fool ya. Spectator Spider-Man 207. Featuring Blind Batman. But that issue was famously rewritten intensely last minute, and the brief blurb here reflects the original idea, which was that it would be part of the Midnight Suns crossover, Siege of Darkness, featuring a Ghost Driver team-up. Thor 469, Blood and Thunder again. Thor goes crazy, and he has an imaginary girlfriend who tells him to kill everyone. Excellent Force 29, featuring, famously, my favourite villain, Carrot Top. And then we have Excellent Men Unlimited 3, a great story about Sabreclaw, with a bad Bill son of a bitch cover. It is the issue where Dr. X decides to try and cure Sabreclaw, and Sabreclaw unofficially joins the Excellent Men. Those are what I have got, and there's not much else worth mentioning, to be fair. Tom Falcon, Fantastic Force, issue 383. We have the start of Faust, Love of the Damned on Doctor Strange. Burn it, please. More Len Kaminski over on Iron Man, issue 298, heading towards the big milestone, issue 300. We have this issue of Satan's Son. Law Dog, issue 6. 3 guest artists take Law Dog for a walk. Meteor Man, 5 of 6. William Shatner's Tech World, issue 18. Hawkham and Hex, 4. They're just making stuff up now, aren't they? Expect to hear a lot more about Hawkham and Hex soon. Satan's Son, he can't cage his dark soul as easily again, and the people he is trying to save from damnation are all unnerved and uncomfortable in the presence of this transformed and demonic Satan's Son. We have letters page. And something else I might have led to Len Kaminski being taken off the book for Warren Fallis is a change in editor. Editor credits are worth following. If there is a sudden change in the title, check the credits. It's usually a new editor who destructively wants to assert their own identity or style or ideas, rather than continue what the previous had began. These 4 issues 7 through to 10, tell a quality story that is so easy to miss with it being in the middle of an incredibly horrible title and debasement of Satan's son and over Defender's characters. The thing I will repeat is that this story is so good, it gave me cause to and want to reevaluate my opinion on the writer completely. I give it 7 thumbs up for a second time. I'm sorry, but the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. She's dead.